Goodness, I'm so excited about this opportunity to share some time with a longtime friend and camping buddy, Triston Cole. He is the founder of Work Camping Made Easy, and I just asked him to share some conversations with me about what he's working on. And Triston, I'm so excited that you agreed to spend some time with me in this kind of series of conversations that we're going to unfold so that I can hear about your project. And of course, others can hear about your project and what's going on. And just, I think today we're focusing on foundational type stuff. So, how are you?
I'm
Where are
doing
you?
great. I'm doing great. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on here. I know how busy you are. You're one of those creative people that has a spirit that never settles down. You're always got your hands in something. So I appreciate you taking some time
Of
to
course.
spend with me out here. Right now, my wife and I are in Estacada, Oregon. It is a little suburb about 45 minutes outside of Portland.
Awesome.
We are currently work camping as well. She is the park administrator for all of the parks that Portland General Electric, the utility company up here, they have a series of parks that coincide with a lot of their hydro projects.
Okay.
They also serve as a concierge for the National Forest Service, so they operate a bunch of campgrounds around some other popular destinations up here. So she is the administrator for everything on the west side, and I am the groundskeeper for one of the day use parks down here, Timber Park.
Awesome. How long have you guys been work camping? Can you remind me?
We have been doing this a little over 2 years now.
Okay.
Yep, we're working on our third year, and we've done three cross country trips in that time span,
It's
and worked
incredible.
in. It's incredible, and we've worked in about 8 different states in that time span as well. It's pretty cool. We're having a blast.
That's awesome. Can you remind me how you guys made this decision to kind of embrace work camping and then also maybe for some people who aren't familiar with that turn of phrase, can you just take us all the way back to the basics? What is work camping, and then how did you guys get into something like this?
Okay, so first, let me kind of go back and talk about how we decided to come to this decision.
Right.
We were both kind of at a crossroads in our respective careers. She had worked in animal care for over a decade, and I had been working as dual role project management and sales for close to 5 years for a restoration company. And we are both kind of at a crossroads and not really satisfied with how we were living our life. We felt like there were more things we wanted to do. We wanted to spend more time doing anything other than working. You know, and I kind of on a whim, I threw out this idea. I'm like, well, I was like, if you're willing to downsize a little bit, I was like, you pick the mode of transportation and we can just travel all over the country and just work our way from job to job. I was like, I'll work two, three jobs if I have to, but if you're willing. And she took all of about 2 minutes to think about it, and we committed to it.
It's
3 months later,
incredible.
3 months later, I turned in my notice to my boss, and
Wow.
she left her job. She spent the whole time researching rigs and what she wanted to live in, and I was
Okay.
researching trucks and getting all the financial stuff set up, and we sold
Mhm.
everything that we owned. Uh, got
A
married,
big step. That's it. Oh,
huge step.
another big.
Yeah, we were in the middle of getting married at the time. We're planning our wedding at the time too. So this was in January of 2022. We got married in May. We
Wow.
made the decision at the end of January, and I actually left for Costa Rica, came back, got rid of everything in the house, sold the house, moved into the rig, and started our first work camping gig. Well, so our first gig actually was not a work camping gig.
Okay.
Uh, I actually worked for a local company. We rented a spot near her mom in
Okay.
Florida, and I worked for a local company. We were just kind of getting used to it, and she wanted to spend some time with her mom. So that was our very first stop, just a couple hours away from home, and then we went up to from Florida to South Carolina and started our official work camping journey at an agri-tourist farm.
And
And
so from when you made the decision to when you feel like it officially started, how much time was spanned?
well, so how do you classify officially started? Like moving into the rig, or like putting the house up for sale and listing it and telling work and all that kind of stuff?
Okay, so you said that you guys had kind of made the decision by January, right?
End of January,
End of
I turned
January,
in I turned in my notice 3 months later.
3 months later, and then you guys got married
Yep,
in
May.
May. Um, and then sold the house. I mean, look, I think from living in a house and having a whole house full of stuff, and then downsizing to a rig, I'll let you be more specific about that, but like, to me, that's already a huge change. I understand that that might not have been the beginning of work camping, but I mean, to me, that's a huge into, a small thing. How much time was between all of that, plus the getting married, which usually is like a whole thing in itself?
So we actually moved into our RV in July.
Oh my gosh, 6 months.
Right, so 6 months, 6 months by the
Six
time we
months.
actually moved into our rig, and that
Made a
was,
decision, did the
months of
research,
research, what
got
time of
married.
RV we wanted to have,
Oh,
and the truck and inspections. Because we actually, I mean, we went through a couple of different, like, options on both sides, trucks and
okay.
RVs, before we
Okay.
found the one that we were gonna buy.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
6 months from start to finish by the time we actually moved into the rig and we're doing this full time. We decided to go with a fifth wheel. I
Okay.
got vetoed. My first vote was for a schoolie.
Help me.
I
Oh, a
wanted
school
to
bus? Like a renovated school
a
bus?
school
Is
bus
that
that had been converted
okay?
into an RV.
Okay.
Uh, that was my first vote. I wanted us to all be together, either that or like a
Fair.
diesel pusher, a class B or C or something like that.
Hmm.
I wanted us to all be together when we were traveling. I didn't want to, be in there by myself or whatever, and the kids be all
Sure.
locked up. But Michelle made a compelling argument that if the vehicle breaks down,
Hmm.
if we're towing something, then we still have our home. If the vehicle has to go in and be worked on, if we're living in our car, essentially, then that's going to be a lot more difficult if we ever have some sort of failure that requires the vehicle to be in the shop.
Look at that.
So
Look at that.
that sort of
You never
logic
thought of that.
is yeah, that kind of logic has served us well in our couple of years doing this. I'll tell you what, she has
Okay.
been a great navigator.
That's incredible. Okay, so let's
Yeah.
go back to work camping. What exactly
Okay.
is that? Or like, what are the
So
definitions that keep it different from, hey, I'm just going to go travel?
so depending on who you ask and kind of like the demographic they fall into, you might get four different answers on what work camping is.
Okay.
Essentially, it is a seasonal or temporary position in where an RV spot hookups is provided in exchange for some work. Sometimes it's an even exchange. You work this many of hours, you get your spot for free. Sometimes it's you work this many hours to get for your spot, and then you get paid for this additional many number of hours. Sometimes you get the spot for free and get paid for all hours worked. There's a lot of different scenarios depending on what the campground needs, and they have all sorts of different uh, unique jobs, but pretty much it's going to fall into either like an administrative position where you're working front desk, housekeeping, or some sort of groundskeeping, maintenance, that kind of stuff, light plumbing, electrical, mowing, making the sites ready, that sort of thing. And then every once in a while, you'll find some that have like food service at the campgrounds. And then the thing that we realized when we started doing this was this industry is huge. Like, we had no idea how many different types of opportunities there are to work for a very short amount of time. And when we say short, I mean anywhere from 4 to 5 weeks to 6 months for a season. Now you have campgrounds that are asking for longer commitments and stuff like that for permanent employees, still with the same setup. That's not really the traditional form of work camping, but you've got all sorts of big harvests that hire work campers. You have oil field industry that hires work campers. You have DigiCamp. It's a factory work that hires work campers. Amazon used to have their own work camper program. They did away with it this past year, but I mean, it's huge. It's a huge industry.
It's incredible because, somebody like me who has a friend who's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do word camping." Like, I have no perception of that entire sphere of life that is coexisting with my reality, right? And I have had
Right.
both very traditional and non-traditional work, but just to think about the fact that, like, there's this huge life that so many people are living and enjoying, um
Yes.
and that there are so many uh nuances to how that works for people.
Right. Right, pretty much that there's an opportunity out there for anybody in any situation. You have your van lifers, you've got your car campers, you've got the people that, like us, we drive a 41-foot fifth wheel. You
Right.
know, I mean, it's on the higher, anywhere in between. There's opportunities, there's campgrounds, there's jobs to be had.
That's
And
incredible.
if you don't have your own house to live in, or if you're literally a car camper, you want to go somewhere like Colorado,
Mhm.
there are a lot of seasonal gig workers that also provide housing. It's not really traditional work camping, but they hire people for a short term for their busy season. They provide housing, and then they go on to the next job.
Wow. So as you guys are getting into this way of living and way of working,
Mhm.
this idea came to you, right? Of work camping made easy. And so do you want to just like, let's go ahead and tear into that and tell me how all of that kind of came to be as a part of your experience?
Okay. Uh, so there, for me and Michelle, we have found most of our jobs primarily by utilizing the power of social media. I network a lot on Facebook groups, and I've created some things using Canva, like some kind of like meet and greets for me and Michelle. Kind of steering away from traditional resumes, even though a lot of the jobs will ask for a traditional resume.
Okay.
Uh, I like to shake things up a little bit, and the Facebook groups exist for a reason. There are people posting there for a reason. And when I did post stuff, I got a lot of positive feedback from both employers and work ambers wanting to use the template that I created, all that kind of stuff. And as we got into this and we started looking for different types of jobs, and we have like our bucket list of experiences that we want to have, right? We have some, right now we're in a position where we still require pay for our work, but we have a lot of things that we want to do that are volunteer only. So making this list of experiences that we want to have and
Kind of like a
exploring all the
bucket
different,
list, right? A
it's
bucket list
exactly
of
what it
work
is. It's
camping.
our
Okay.
experience bucket list from a work camping perspective. And then we have like our destination bucket list, and we try to match those up as much as we can.
How cool.
Um, we started exploring different resources, outside of the Facebook groups and everything. Work Camper News, Workers on Wheels. There's a bunch of different websites that kind of have their own little niche, their own little format as far as posting uh, opportunities and work campers creating resumes and connecting the two. Uh, but there's nobody that really focuses on, like, everybody's focused on bringing people to their site only, like not really helping get the information out there, like harnessing the power of social media, how quick and easy and convenient it is for a lot of people. And one thing I've noticed in this industry is that the younger generations of work campers, they don't network the same way. Like, I learned how to network by going out and meeting people, knocking on doors and shaking hands and that kind of stuff. They're all digital, right? They're not going to spend an entire day researching campgrounds in an area they want to go to and calling them and talking to them about their needs, right? Which is a very
No.
traditional way of that people find jobs, right?
No.
So
You and I
they're
are about the same age, and my introverted self just went,
right. Right, well, I mean, who has that kind of time nowadays?
oh, that's
Honestly,
true.
like, most of us, especially if you're younger and you're working full time and still having to work for a living and you're not in your twilight years, you know, we're all distracted. We all have so much going on. We need something that's gonna be quick, efficient, but effective.
Mhm.
Like, those are the 3 main things: quick, efficient, and effective. It doesn't do any good if it's quick and efficient, but it doesn't get the results that you need.
Right.
So that's when I kinda started creating Work Camping Made Easy. Um, and the original idea was just, hey, I'm going to create some templates that can be utilized on social media, and just kind of like a personnel ad, or a situation wanted ad. but formatted specifically for Facebook. And that included little things like when you scroll through these Facebook groups and you see these posts, because people are in such a hurry and they have so much other stuff going on, a lot of times their posts would be very in depth, very detailed, but be missing key elements, details that they would need in order for like an employer or a candidate to decide if that's a good opportunity for them. Just on a very surface level, say, hey, this is worth my time. I'm going to research their profile or their website or seeing their job description, right? Like there's some basic information that needs to be provided to know if that's going to be a good fit to invest even more time.
Mhm.
I use as a former recruiter, I know for a fact that when you're going through, like as an employer, if you're looking for candidates, you've got less than 30 seconds to make that first impression for you to go into the I'll look at it later pile. So this is kind of the equivalent. The original idea was the equivalent of that is how can I get a recruiter's attention just like that to say, hey, I'm going to go explore this more, either for a candidate or a work camper. Uh, and then doing that and having when I would make a post for me and Michelle, right? We would have a bunch of people respond. A lot of opportunities put in front of us. Hey, I've got this over here. I've got this over here. This is, you know, here are the details that are different from what you have. If you're open to this, reach out to me. And we would start going through interviews and making notes. And I couldn't really find a tool that had a way to easily organize that information,
Mm.
right? Like from an interview process and going back and reading through the notes and saying, okay, well, this opportunity is better compared to this opportunity for this reason. Like it was a lot of going through and having to search and scroll, right? So that led to a second tool that I wanted to create to help people evaluate the strength of a candidate or an opportunity in a very simple and easy to use format with a very simple scoring system that allows for the subjectivity of the individual user. So that's kind of where we're at for our initial launch for Work Camping Made Easy to try and make things and really what the goal is to help anybody that wants to live their dream, whether you want to be a campground owner or you want to be an agritourist farm or you want to sell Christmas trees or have a Christmas tree lot or a pumpkin patch or you want to work those types of jobs. This platform is being built to help facilitate, make it easier for anybody that wants to do that to be able to do it. Save time, stand out. That's what we're all about.
Right, because the people who own either the farms or the opportunities or the Christmas tree lots, they can't do it alone, and they need to
Right.
find workers. And it's not that there aren't workers, but you want to find the best workers to be a part of your team. And so what you're saying is that Work Camping Made Easy is going to bring these two parties together more easily.
It is, and not only that, it's also gonna bridge the gap between the technological skill sets between the different generations of work campers that
Oh,
we
let's
have right
talk
now
about
and
that.
campground owners.
Let's talk
We've
about
got 4 different generations. So we have your baby boomers, your Gen Xers, your millennials, and your Gen Zers.
that. Hmm.
Like the thing that has caused this industry to explode since the pandemic is your millennials and your Gen Zers have no interest in traditional lifestyles. They don't. They recognize how much more is out there and how the rat race does not benefit anybody other than the people at the top at the end of the day, right? And they don't want to spend a lifetime trying to climb that corporate ladder when there's so much other stuff out there that they can
Sure.
explore and other things
Missing
they can
out on
experience.
time with family, time with your vitality, all of that type of thing.
Right. All of that. So, the other thing that I realized in going through all these tools and exploring and looking for things to help me make this process easier is there is a large gap between the tools that are out there for the baby boomers to the Gen Zers. There's nothing really that caters to all 4 generations from a technological standpoint and makes it levels the playing field for them to be able to find the same opportunities and present what they have to offer, whether you're a candidate or an employer. Nobody's catering to all 4. Nobody's harnessing the power of social media. So that's the avenue that we decided to take.
Is there anything that, first of all, I know you to be a super capable, super open hearted, super determined type individual. But for those who don't know you as well as I do, um, did you come to look, it's one thing for you to decide to do this for yourself and your family, right? This is the experience we want to have, and I'm happy to make some tools to make my life easier. What but it's a much different thing to then take that next step and go, I am open to creating this in a robust way to help facilitate the lives of other people. So can you just dig into a little bit of like, I don't know, your courage, your just what is your guiding principle of putting this together, so that it doesn't just benefit you and your family, but benefit so many other people.
Well, my family history, and one thing is certain. Well, not only my family, but like you said, you know me. The one thing that's been a constant in my life is that I've always recognized how blessed I've been for the people that have been in my life. Specifically, the friends like you and the Blacks and Brad and Holly and everybody that has just been there for so long. You as a group collectively are the most generous, warm, loving group of people that I have ever met, that I've ever known anywhere in the world. 14 years in the Navy, going all over this creation of Earth, I've never met a more loving group of people, a more accepting and forgiving group of people. And I was not always a great version of myself. And before I even met my wife, I decided to make some life changes, and I went on a sabbatical, and I spent about 6 months backpacking. I started walking when I was in Pennsylvania and started training on the Great Allegheny Passage, and they just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And back in 2015, before I met Michelle, after I spent the holidays with my family down in South Carolina, I decided enough was enough, and I started backpacking full time. I got rid of everything that I owned. I had literally the clothes on my back and the stuff in my backpack, and I took the time to really get to know myself and who I wanted to be. And in my self exploration and researching on how to be the highest version of myself, uh, I kind of came up with this philosophy that I've started calling GratSuBala. And it's based on three simple foundations of gratitude, support, and balance. And what I've dedicated my life to is essentially writing my own eulogy. I want to be remembered by the people that I care about a certain way, right? I want my wife to talk about me a certain way if I were to pass away before she does. I want my daughter to talk about me a certain way, when I'm no longer here. I want her to have certain feelings. And all of that comes with how I'm able to influence their lives, right? And the number one thing that is certain is there is always, always something to be grateful for. Every situation that we're faced with, it doesn't matter how challenging or how much it feels like the world may be against us. If we look for something to be grateful for, and instead of asking, why is this happening to me, ask ourselves, why is this happening for me? What can I learn from this? What can I take away from this? We'll recognize that there's a chance for us to step up and elevate our life by being a better version of ourselves. And it doesn't have to be a huge change. It's all about 1% changes. Every situation, try to do 1% better than what you were the last time in that situation. Be grateful for the opportunity to do it better this time. Uh, Recognizing that and acknowledging, that it's an opportunity to be better for ourselves and really looking inward and trying to elevate ourselves in every conversation, everything that we do. It's got to be first and foremost. Uh, to go along with that, the best version of ourselves is only going to be able to be reached in the service of others. You can't be self-serving. You can't always be looking at what am I getting out of this? How is this going to benefit me? It's a fulfilling life for me is leaving others with a smile on their face. It doesn't matter how crazy someone's feelings are, how somebody's ideas are or dreams or whatever. I'm a firm believer. The answer is always yes. If you're not taking the choice out of somebody else's hands, if you look at me and say, Tristan, I want you to help me fly to the moon in a 1969 Shelby Cobra. My answer is like, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's figure it out. What are the obstacles that we have to figure out? How are we going to navigate around this?
Mm.
And it's a series of identifying an opportunity to support somebody in whatever it is they need, whether it's just listening or whatever, but make sure that they feel that, hey, that person was there for me. They leave with a smile. They leave feeling like you're there for them, whatever that means, and acknowledging that we all always need a hand.
Yeah.
We're never not going to be better by helping somebody,
Right.
right? Um, and then an equally important part of that is the balance. We have to help ourselves as much as we help others as well. We got to take care of our mental health, our physical health, our well-being. We've got to maintain that balance in our lives. We've got to pay attention to, pay attention to our energies, like you and I have talked about so many times. And the people that we allow to interact with our energy and share their energy with us, and who we share our energy with.
Right.
Right? Uh, you put all three of those together, and you have those front of sight, front of mind, and you're going to start to notice that life is pretty damn good pretty much all the time, even when it's stressful. Because the times that you're feeling down and you need that hand up, guess what? There's going to be somebody that you made feel that way is going to be right there for you. So my entire existence has essentially become about being grateful, being supportive of those around me that I care about, and making sure that I am taking care of myself as well, maintaining that balance for my total. So it's become so ingrained a part of my lifestyle that it was actually Michelle and I wrote our wedding vows based on those very same principles. Every communication that we have with each other, we strive to acknowledge that we're grateful. Even when we're arguing, hey, I appreciate that you're sharing that with me. I know how difficult that might have been, being supportive. I know that wasn't easy. And then moving from there to elevate the relationship, elevate you, elevate your life.
Mm.
And that's
So
what I'm trying
as
to do is
so yeah, and you're totally picking up on what I was about to ask you is like, so as you went on this journey to heal and evolve, and you came up with these really these pillars of how you wanted your outlook and your like ongoing life experience to be. You found Michelle, and Michelle has
mhm,
come on board with that philosophy as well. And so this is what I'm guessing. I'm going to say a statement, and then you can you know adjust it as appropriate. But my understanding is that your choice for work camping made easy, not just to create these tools for yourself and to kind of better your life and maybe the couple of people in your sphere or who you work with, really to expand this is all about these principles of being
mhm.
grateful, of supporting others, and also of finding balance.
It is, and I'm glad you brought that up because one of the other things that I noticed in learning about this industry, and I still see it to this day, is the arguments about what work camping is and is not. And there's always going to be division. It's human nature to judge and take a stance on things, whatever. But for me, more than anything, the attitude of arguing about what work camping is and is not is counterproductive to what the entire industry stands for. It's about, like, this industry was built around people living their dreams, people that want to travel and having a way to be able to do that when you're not mega rich. It's we all are in this together. And the arguing on social media about what it is and is not, at the end of the day, I just don't want to shake these people and say, look, this industry is what we make it. There are more than enough opportunities out there for everybody. And there are so many people with so many amazing skills and experiences they bring to the table that these employers can take advantage of and utilize and help elevate their own property and the experience for their guests. And everybody is, you know, arguing over, well, that's not really work camping and it's ridiculous that you're asking for this much money. And I want to stop all that. This platform is in its infancy, right? With the calling cards for social media and the scorecards to help evaluate the opportunities. But what it's going to become is a community that is created and owned and evolved by work campers and the employers. Like, there are things that we all need and gaps that need to be bridged, and that's what I'm hoping to do. As technology advances and campground owners, new campground owners are trying to create true destinations for their guests, right? And not just a stop along the way. Like that requires longer commitments, more skill sets, more training, like all of that stuff, which is counterintuitive for what is coming into the industry. These younger work campers, they don't want to work somewhere for a year. They don't want to commit for a year. They're doing this because they want to travel, they want to see, they want to explore, right? But they still need to provide for themselves. So the bigger goal of Work Ain't Being Made Easy, when I say I want to make it easier for everybody to live their dreams, is to start bridging those gaps by the introduction of these tools that are being developed in conjunction with the work campers and the campground owners to meet both ends of the party. And Work Ain't Being Made Easy is going to be a platform where all of that is accomplished. Do it right. The goal is it's going to create a way for everybody to, like, I'm planning on this being a way that this platform being a way that other people can sustain their lifestyle.
Mhm,
Like, I want
mhm.
it to be a source of generating revenue because of the contributions that people are making, and we're all benefiting from it,
Right, right. Thereby, right, giving us more opportunities to be grateful, right? Uh,
right? More
in
opportunities
service
to be
to
grateful.
others, right? In supporting others,
Yep,
right? And then I think that just baked into that, there is like if you're choosing an alternative lifestyle because it's good for you, right? That is already the self-care of not following tradition or following the pattern or because you have to or because somebody says this is the right way to live. um you're already taking those steps towards finding your inner balance and feeding your soul, right? um
exactly.
so I think that's incredible. You
Thank
are
you.
amazing, if nobody has told you that
Thank you.
lately. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
we know that Work Camping Made Easy is starting out. You've got some tools that are going to be released very, very soon. They're on precipice. And by the time that some people might be seeing this conversation, it might already be up and running, and you'll have your different levels of engagement with the platform available. I do want to remind people that this is just one conversation in a series that Triston and I will be sharing together so that we can unpack all of this just awesome engagement for elevation for us all, really. Triston, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that you want to share along with kind of this first conversation?
Uh, I think we did a pretty good deep dive into what Work Camping Made Easy is right now, like kind of where we're at, where we want to be, and the founding principles behind it. Um, I, 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 I don't know. I think we're off to a pretty good start. I
All right,
appreciate the time that you've
of
dedicated to me
course.
today.
So more to come, people. More to come. Stay tuned.
Thank you.